Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I wanted to share with you and discuss 7 good reasons to buy secondhand. Now it is still secondhand September, which is mostly focused on fashion, so I will focus more on fashion, but these reasons actually apply to everything you can think and be interested on, from technology to furniture to really whatever. So please, if you are considering buying secondhand and you're playing around with the idea and try to understand if it's the right things for you and why should it be, please stick around. Don't just like turn away because this is about fashion. It's really about secondhand in general. Before starting though, hey, I am Alice and I do normally videos on sustainable fashions, but I am starting to work a lot more on sustainable and zero waste living in general, in a way that can be feasible for normal people with a normal life and without really having to sacrifice a lot to live a more sustainable life. So if you're interested in that, please consider subscribing to my channel and maybe liking this video if you actually do like this video. Number 1, it is the most sustainable way of shopping. Consider that the Oxfam reported that every week 13 million items of clothing are dumped into landfill in the UK alone. So this is only the UK and only clothing, but if we start considering every single item that we dump into landfill worthwhile, the total amount will become absolutely overwhelming. So buying secondhand is really a good way to avoid the perfectly good items to go into landfill. Secondly, it does also relieve a lot of pressure from the market, and that's because, of course, the more we buy, the more we press companies to produce more because we are showing that we want more. But if we stop buying directly from them, then we can hope that in time we can revert a little bit the process and going back into producing what we need rather than overproducing like we are doing now. And this, of course, will have a good impact on the environment because we tend to look only at the end product of our production, so all the stuff that we are sending to landfill. But we are actually wasting a lot in the whole chain process and production chain, and that's because we are using really a lot of resources to produce items that are going to the landfill almost straight away, and that's incredibly wasteful. So of course buying secondhand again will avoid using that much resources for stuff that after all we don't really need. Number 2, it is also more ethical, and that's because it is no mystery that the fashion industry, as well as many other industries out there, are deeply unethical. The items that we are using are mainly produced by people that are working in condition of modern slavery, which means that they are paid next to nothing. They work shifts that are 12 to 15 hours, sometimes even more. They are working in extremely unsafe conditions, always staying in the fashion industry example. It's efficient to remember the disaster of the Rana Plaza, when a factory that was actually not meant to be a factory collapsed, and because there were no safety measures at all out there, more than 1,000 people lost their lives. So really unsafe. And also the majority of people are women and they are often subjected to harassment and rape. And finally, there are even a lot of children working in there. So if that is not unethical for you, I really don't know what it is, and I don't want to know. So buying secondhand is really a good way to stop supporting industry that are working in very unethical conditions. And that's for me a huge thing, and one of the main reasons why I am buying secondhand, for example. Also, if there is a brand or an item or anything you can think of that you really like, but the company is not ethical enough for your standard, buying secondhand can also be a way to still enjoy what you want, but without directly supporting these companies. And I know that a lot of people would probably not agree with this part, because you are still using an item that is produced unethically, even if you bought it secondhand, and especially if the item is branded, or if you are just sharing it on social media, you're still gifting the brand advertisement. So you are still in a way compelling other people and showing them that it's a great item and they will probably buy it new, so that's not really a great result. But I am not completely in agreement with this view. It has its points, I'm not denying that, but First of all, buying secondhand is still more sustainable than buying something new, even if the new thing is super sustainable and super ethical. Also, realistically, not everyone can afford to buy everything super sustainable and super ethical, because these brands are often expensive and not everyone can do that. And it is unfair to exclude people from the discussion just because they don't have the means to have a perfect zero waste and sustainable life. That would be absolutely unfair. And third, we don't need very few people to do the sustainable life perfectly. We need a lot of people to do everything they can to live a more sustainable life. And if we want to do that, that sustainable life needs to be achievable. And that is not just in terms of economical means, but also, honestly, psychologically, if we are asking people to shift their mindset and the entire habit from day to night, that's not achievable, that's not feasible for the majority of people out there, and that will probably have the opposite effect of making people live a more zero waste lifestyle rather than coming into it. So still, buying secondhand is a good way to include people and to make people live a more sustainable lifestyle while not having to really sacrifice their normal everyday life. So that's why I support still buying your unethical clothes, but secondhand. Apologies for the rambling, but these were really the 2 points that required more words, so I swear that the next ones will be way faster. So number 3, it is cheap, and there are obviously exceptions to that, but generally speaking, buying second hand is way cheaper than buying the same things new. And sometimes it can even be free. You would really be surprised of how many things you can find for free, either because people just want to get rid of them without throwing them away, or if you, even better, if you really establish like a swapping network with your friends and family, in which Number 4, it has a better resale value, and I know that this is a little bit counterintuitive because we are used to things that new things are actually a better resale value than things that have been already used or that are old, but actually it's not like this at all. And that's because when you have something new that you want to resell, that you bought new, you have to really lower the price to be able to sell that items, and you would be surprised of how much you have to go down. That's independently on how much you spend, because there are very few things that really maintain their price over time and that you can sell for same price, sometimes even more. The majority of stuff, even if you spend a lot of money on them, you are obliged to go a lot lower to be able to sell them. But if you bought them second-hand in the first place, so you already bought them at a discount price, you might be able to even resell it for the same amount you bought it for, of course, if it is in the same condition. But even if you have to lower your price, then you will lose a lot less money than if you bought that thing first-hand. And number 6, chances are that these items will also be of a much better quality than what you can find in shops. And that's because nowadays the majority of things are really mass produced, and also they are produced very quickly and very cheaply because companies are cutting corners wherever they can. Also, this means that they won't last in times, but also they are done in a way that they become obsolete very fast, so that we are obliged to buy more stuff quite quickly. So considering that once things were actually done to last and not to last just a season, then chances are that what you find second hand, especially if these are a little bit older, will be of a much better quality than what you will find now. And finally, number 7, and my favorite, it's fun. Believe me guys, you can have a lot of fun trying to find the perfect item second hand, or just scavenging around in thrift shops and charity shops and antique events and this kind of things. And to be honest, at the very beginning it wasn't fun at all. It was actually quite frustrating because I wasn't able to find anything that I wanted, and I really couldn't understand how people were finding all this amazing stuff secondhand. but actually it does require a little bit of practice to really understand what you want, where you can find the things, what to look for, etc. Because of course, depending on what type of person you are, you will have different needs, but also depending on where you live, what is available to you is very different. So it does take a little bit of time to figure it out exactly how to go around things, but once you acquire a little bit of practice, believe me, it is super fun. At the moment, it's really a challenge with myself to find everything I need secondhand, and possibly at a very cheap. These are really the reasons why I am buying mainly secondhand. Does it mean that I buy everything secondhand? No, actually no. There are still enough things I would say that I'm buying new, and that's because there are some things that I just don't want to buy secondhand, underwear being the most obvious, but also there are some things that are just not practical for me to buy secondhand. Very practical examples are pants, like the jeans that I am wearing are pretty new because I bought them like a couple of months ago, and they are like properly new, bought from a shop, and that's because apparently I have a very strange leg size and shape. So for me it is very difficult to find the pants secondhand, and considering secondhand doesn't have a great return system, yeah, it's not that easy for me. And I do take the chance to buy things that I need to buy new from like local shops and from ethical and sustainable brands, so that I can also support this type of business that are actually trying to do the right thing. So not everything I buy is secondhand. I was considering of doing a video on what I decided and why, how I decide to buy things secondhand or new. Let me know if you're interested in that, but yeah, I just want to throw out there that I do buy mainly and mostly secondhand, but let's be honest, not everything you will always find secondhand. And that was it for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you find it interesting. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below, and since the next time, bye!